So next one will be more like dark spot, sort of a texture. If you see kind of metallic, like old forged metals, they have some dark spots. Like I did some sculpt in the ZBrush, but also be helpful to adding in texture level. So create new fill layer and name it maybe spot dirt. Well, name can be anything. Base color will be black again. And I actually make this height maybe 0.1, 0.001 maybe. And it's very rough. And then no metallic at all. Yeah, and then just leave the normal as is. Okay, so it's just black rough material. Adding a black mask and adding fill layer. Right, so a fill layer, and I actually want to use the dirt texture or anything that can be like spotty will be fine. But I know that dirt one has nice spotty texture like this. And well, again, the scale is way too large, so maybe another scale 5. And if I check the actual mask, it's like everywhere, which is not what I want. So I want to make the contrast really high and lower the balance. So I can only have them a little like this. So if I check the actual material, and this is what I got. They might be a bit too small, but I think it should be fine. Maybe I can increase the balance a little bit, 45, so I can rebuild some more spots. Like so. Yeah, and but they were basically laid out based on the UVs. So they're somewhat like regular in terms of the placement. So I can actually break them up by using another fill layer. So create fill layer, and this time using well, anything refined really, but something very contrasty, some like grungy, contrasty, like non-uniform type texture would be the best. So maybe I can use the grunge fingerprint and increase the scale again, maybe 10 or something, and then increase the balance and contrast again, so make like very contrasty. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm gonna change this to a subtract, and basically this one, I mean, this texture will be subtracting the amount of texture from dirt 1. So basically dirt minus this grunge fingerprint or any other inputs. So I can, in this point, I can just change the scale and change the contrast or balance to rebuild or hide more of the spots. So something like this might works well. I can maybe adding another fill layer and then break up even further, but should be fine. Yeah, so looks okay. I will maybe reduce some of the contrast so I can rebuild some like smaller, like less intense the spots as well, like this. So this is the previous. And this is current. And slightly brighter. Yeah, so I can make some sort of like cluster of those spots. And Yeah, and then this area will be covered by the stencil. I'm planning to paint some stencil here, as I seen in the reference. So I can maybe rotate and then offset them so I can reveal them more to the center area or the side. So I can using a rotation. It's creating this kind of line fill. So maybe I should adding another fill layer. So another fill and adding another grunge. And I think it should be fine. So I'll move on to other layer. So create fill layer, and then this will be scratch. Another black and a bit of a height, like same maybe minus 0.01 and same very low and then no metallic. Okay, so create black mask and same as the one below, adding fill layer and plug in a grunge scratch this time. So grunge scratch and grunge scratch is locked. So plug this in and check the alpha, the mask, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so I can adjust these properties, adjust the scale first. So again, maybe 4. And then adjust properties so that it's gonna makes overall a width and the length and the amount of scratches about right. And then also adding another fill layer to subtract the random spots because it's so uniform overall. Yeah, so I will be adjusting some value first. Right, and same as the spot layer. I'll be adding another fill, add fill, and same grunge that I used before. I mean, it doesn't necessarily using like same grunge maps, but again, anything that will be help to break up the maps. So check the maps in the mask. And increase some scale and then balance and contrast again, and then change this to the subtract. So increase a bit more. think I will need a more larger breakup. So maybe adding another fill layer. In this case, we'll try using some cloud. Okay, so this is previous, and this is after breakup by subtracting the grunge scratches. So I think this should be work. Okay, and lastly, I add the stencil layer. So I'm creating new fill layer. Name it stencil. And I'm gonna make it dark color, and I will adjust a color later, but just so that I can see better when I adding some stencils and adding some height, like negative heights, because they are supposed to be more like, it's not carved but more like printed. So 2 and bit rough, because they're supposed to be some sort of painted, and yeah, less metallic. Okay, and create black mask. And then create a paint layer this time. Right, so I need to import my resources. So go to a file and import resources, and then add resources. So I have collected a bunch of references and images that I'm gonna use. I mean, there's just so many that I probably won't use them all, but I still wanna add all of them to my project. So click everything and open, and select everything, and set the unidentified to a texture or ARPA. I will just put them as a texture and import my resources to current project and import. So these are all the texture and importing. And so in paint layer, hit 3, and there's some black box appears, which is where my stencil is supposed to go. So I can, in the properties, painting properties, I can just drag and drop my texture to this grayscale. So I'll be drawing maybe one of these texture. They are all, well, it's quite busy texture, so it's really it's hard to see what's actually going on. So I guess it doesn't really matter what's the print will be. Yeah, so pick one of these. I guess something like this, and then I will actually paint in UV space. So hit and then hold S key, and then there's some menu appears here. So middle click is moving my stencil, and right click is and then move the mouse up and down will scale the actual stencil, and then left click will be a rotating. So it's pretty simple. Yeah, so place them to somewhere, somewhere right, and then just paint them over. Like so. It's goes out, but and then see how they are looks like in 3D space. So friends, I think if they're really way too fine to be a print on the mirror surface. So I think I can use something that a bit less busy one. Okay, so I will continue paint and see how it's gonna be looks like. Okay, so painting stencil is done. I guess this will do. I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna see something busy, so the pattern, whatever will be, it won't be matter much. So lastly, I want to do some breakup on top, just like same idea that I did for the scratches. Yeah, so I'm gonna create another fill layer and plug in a cloud. So if I isolate a cloud only, so this is what it look like. And for same idea again, I'm gonna increase scale and increase the contrast, so I can subtract this out from the paint. Okay, so this area paint is almost done. I still want to add some letters, which I can spot it here. So I've made it similar texture letters in Photoshop and imported it. So this is the one. I'm gonna create another paint layer and press 3 to bring up the stencil and plug this in to grayscale. So yeah, in the UV view, you can try project on the UV. I can turn this thing off so our process can be a bit faster. Okay, so all the stencils has been added and it's almost ready to move on to the other parts of the painting. Before I move on, I say want to do a few more stuff here. So for base materials, so these 3, and then I want to add a filter. So filter for each base materials. And under filter, I want to select a matte finish lock, which will make those texture more more isolate in terms of their outputs, like their like stacking. So when I see the color maps, for example, they can be more isolated compared to before. I guess base material doesn't really need anything because there's no texture plugged in here. So only these 2, and this is without. It's a bit blurry without, and this matte finish love basically makes those pattern a bit more crisp. So I guess it's nicer. It depends on the whatever you want to do. So that's one thing. And another thing is still thinks that those darkened area can get a bit more darker. So can maybe increase a occlusion maybe back to 100%, and maybe dirt increase a little bit. We can still maybe decrease it. It's again really hard to tell without seeing the actual render, but it could be works well. Because the thing that I want to see is more of a texture like breakup. Yeah, and this kind of a line fill also need to be break. So this is from the dirt and occlusion. so which I can paint it over to break it up. So I can again turn off everything, but just occlusion first, and adding paint layer, and then turn on the mask and start actually painting them. So go to brush and maybe something like dirt, and then start painting so that I can break up these perfect lines. Yeah, and it's a little bit hard to notice because the occlusion layer isn't that dark. So I might add some level. So to create level node, just right click and then click add level. So inside level, I can just adjust this slider to tighten them up, and the mask will be more intense, more contrasty. Now it's much more brighter. I can increase the brightness a bit more. It should make this the occlusion layer more isolated. So this will help to break down break up this shader better. Okay, so dirt. And this layer has rather nicer breakup compared to the occlusion layer. So I will just add a level node, and probably that's it. So add level,